Hi everyone, thank you all for joining us again. In this segment, we'll continue our discussion from Chapter 1 and Volume 3 of the Basic Elements of the Christian Life. The title of this chapter is The Two Principles of Living. Tom, in the last segment we talked about this chapter, and we talked about how these two principles come from Chapter 2 of Genesis, where we see two trees that match with these two principles. In this segment, we'd like to go on to discuss how these principles relate to our Christian experience today. So related to this, can you share with us about how we can know whether we're living by the principle of life or we're living by the principle of right or wrong?
The way we can know that we're living by the principle of life or by the principle of right or wrong, Joe, really has to do with a basic matter related to every Christian. That is that we need to realize from the moment we believe in the Lord Jesus, we have the divine life that is come into us through our divine birth. And with any life, there's a kind of a sense. And that sense, normally speaking, when your body is healthy, you feel very peaceful. You're comfortable, you're peaceful, maybe even energetic. Well, with the divine life, everything that we do, we have to realize affects that life. So if we are considering a certain course of action, whether to say something, do something, the divine life within us will be full of feeling. So as we consider a certain action, we can know whether we're on the principle of life by the fact that the life of God either rises up within us and it makes us feel joyful and peaceful, or whether the divine life causes us to feel unhappy or having a kind of a grieving, an uncomfortable feeling. That's when we're taking the way of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. When we go in the way of right and wrong, the life of God will not be happy. So we need to see that the life of God is full of feeling.
So the life of God is full of feeling, and one way to know which principle we're on is whether we have a sense of life and peace, or whether we have a sense of death, or maybe we feel depressed or deflated.
That's right.
So these are the ways that we can know the difference between these two principles. Can you also give us some examples of how these principles can be applied?
Well, the principle of life and the principle of right and wrong can be applied in every aspect of our daily life, both in big situations and in the small matters of our daily life. A common situation that affects young adults would be their education or their employment. So you could say to take a job or to go to grad school, one is not right and the other wrong, but whether or not the Lord, according to the principle of life, is taking one of those courses of action really would be affected by how we feel. If as you begin to pray and open to the Lord about going to grad school, you feel very peaceful and full of faith, full of joy, then this may be an indication that the Lord is moving in that direction. However, as you are considering this before the Lord, you feel a sense of uneasiness, you're not peaceful about it, then you know that the life of God may not be taking that way at this time. And it would be the same with the matter of taking a job. Well, these are big matters, and a lot of times Christians find themselves concerned about the matters of career, education, employment, marriage. But we need to realize that God cares about every detail of our life. If we only experienced Him in those big things, we would miss out on a lot of experiences of the life of God, which are very crucial for us to grow as Christians. So when we consider even the small things, like I have 15 minutes this evening, Lord, are you taking this 15 minutes to pray? Or would you rather me take 15 minutes to speak to someone about you? Neither one of those is something bad. But the life of God may, at this instant, have a particular feeling as far as how we should use our time. So it's very good for us to consider and take this step to bring everything to the Lord, whether it's the big things or the small things, and see how the life of God within us feels about that particular matter.
These examples are really helpful because in both of the examples, neither choice or neither option is wrong. So whether we take a job or go to graduate school, or whether we spend time to pray or spend time to speak to someone about the Lord, neither option is wrong, but it depends on the Lord's life in us and what feeling He gives us at that time.
That's true.
So instead of making decisions based on which one is right or which one is wrong, as Christians, we make decisions based on the feeling of the Lord's life within us.
That's right.
So, Tom, thank you so much for sharing this with us today. And thank you all for joining us. We've enjoyed this segment on the two principles of living, and we look forward to more segments from the basic elements of the Christian life.